Thank you.
Up next on the docket, let's see, Eric Blyth, Justin West, and Sam Ferris-Morris. Eric Blyth is a multidisciplinary designer whose work centers around an examination of the social, political, environmental, and economic systems that make up the built environment. With a passion for hands-on work, Eric seeks to create beautiful spaces, objects, and experiences for the masses alongside his strange and talented friends. Those strange and talented friends are with us today too. Justin West and Sam Ferris-Morris, both composers and artists who all together form the group Intermedio. Here's In Place of Forgetting, Engaging with the Archives. Take it away, Eric.
Hey, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, I'm Eric Blyth. I'm a designer here in Cincinnati. I work at Platt Design near Findlay Market. And I am joined, as you said, with Justin and Sam, or by Justin and Sam, who are both composers and specifically work with electronics and coding in their compositions. And together we are Intermedio, and we do a lot of interaction-based artwork, interactive installations, and performances. And today we're going to be talking about a project that we did in 2018 called In Place of Forgetting. And that was for the Photo Focus Biennial in 2018. And we're also going to be talking about a performance that we did as part of that installation called Midday Ghost, in collaboration with our friend and saxophonist Om Shrivastava. So Photo Focus is, it's a biennial. It happens every other year, and it is a lens-based festival, as in photography. And the theme of the biennial that year was Open Archive, and we submitted a proposal for the Art Hub that year, which is the inflatable dome that you see here that they put in front of Washington Park, or sorry, in front of Music Hall on Washington Park. And so before we chose an archive to work with as our content, we were looking at different ways to use that space, and finding that it was a really challenging space to work within. It's this big inflatable dome, so it's pretty loud in there. It can get really bright when the sun is out. And for some people, it was pretty claustrophobic and disorienting at times. And also with it being an inflatable, we can hang or suspend anything in the space or really rely on the structure for anything other than kind of its enclosure, really. And because it was a temporary space as well, the installation process was pretty truncated as far as timeline goes. And so that kind of raised its own challenges as well. And so our first strategy was to create kind of a focused, individualized experience, and in a way kind of shut out the kind of harsh context that we were building within. And so we looked at doing helmets or boxes to look into, or things to kind of cut out the audio and the visual of the space and create a really focused experience. And ultimately we ended with a proposal that had dispersed versions of a project that we had done prior to this called Voiceboxes. And we were looking at doing both an audio box as well as kind of like a projector box, a visual box. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the archival content that we ended up working with as well. Justin, you're muted.
As Eric said, we were looking for source material that would go with the theme of Open Archive, which was Photo Focus's theme for the year. And we were interested in something to do with the location that the Art Hub was occupying, kind of the surrounding area, over the Rhine Basin. And we were also kind of in early conversations thinking about memory. And we were interested in the relationship between an archive and memory. And we got in contact with Mark Rolling, who's the exhibition designer and chief preparator at the Taft Museum. And Mark has a incredible, massive archive of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of postcards of Cincinnati from the early 20th century up into the mid-late 20th century. And he has these arranged in these giant binders that are all designed to be a walking tour. So you could go from the west side of 4th Street all the way down to Pike Street where the Taft is, or you could go up from the river all the way up to Liberty Street from on Vine. And we were really interested in the kind of massive collection of these things that he had. And as we were going through the archive with him, we were discovering that on the backs of the postcards, there were a lot of really beautiful personal messages. And there's something about the intimacy of these kind of short communications that were kind of aphoristic or tweet-like. And the simplicity of them and the plain spokenness really caught us. And so we decided to take that material and turn that into a sound archive.
Yeah, and so what we ended up doing was getting together a group of singer friends. Some of them were trained singers and some of them weren't. So we designed a system of algorithmically feeding them their pitches. And we sampled them recording and reciting back the text in a number of different ways. So one example would be we'd give them a pitch and we'd give them a single phrase from the archive from one of the postcards. And they'd sing the pitch, but break up every single word or phrase or consonant in the pitch or in the phrase. And so what we did was we sampled that and we built about an archive of maybe 2,000 small snippets of audio. And then we programmed the voice boxes that we're going to talk about in a little bit to basically run through that archive based on various playback algorithms and play it back kind of like a drum sequencer, basically.
Yeah, and the voice boxes are an interface and that people can articulate to kind of traverse the archive. Each box appears to be totally empty when you open it. And the lid has a sensor that measures the position. And so as people move the lid up and down, not only do you get the acoustic effect of the lid opening and closing, the natural formant of the sound, but you also get a response of the code, which basically creates these kind of harmonic clusters and different overlappings of text and snippets of consonants. And we'll hear a little bit of that later in the video at the end. There's some of that audio that we also built our performance off of.
The final challenge for us was to now translate this archive into three-dimensional space. And so ultimately what we asked of Mark, knowing his kind of intimate memory with his collection and therefore kind of intimate memory of the city's past, we asked him to create a map from memory of the Cincinnati that he knows. And this is what he handed us, which was really remarkable, and we're really grateful to have collaborated with him. And so what we ended up doing is translating this map into three-dimensional space. And so we pixelated his map, made it grayscale, and then took sections of that map and pixel by pixel, based on the grayscale value of that pixel, we painted a string a certain length. And so what that turned into was kind of this topographical translation of Mark's map. And so we had 8 different modules that each of which had hundreds of strings within them, all kind of representing this volumetric version of a memory of this city. And suspended inside of those strings were the voices that were written on the back of these postcards. So the voices would be emanating from these boxes that you could open and close. And so we kind of took this archive and downsampled it in these different ways, and kind of took both the collective memory of the city through the text written on the back of decades old postcards, as well as this kind of almost a translation of that in Mark's memory of the city. And we're able to, at the end, kind of embrace the realities of that space that we were initially trying to fight against in the first proposal, being able to kind of create this circular collective experience, as well as kind of addressing, you know, the brightness of the space, the height of the space. And yeah, we're going to show you a video real quick to kind of show a little bit more of what the space felt like, what it sounded like. And this is taken from the performance that we did with our friend Ohm. Yeah, so really happy to be here. Thanks so much for giving us your time. Again, my name's Eric, Justin, and Sam are joining me, and we are Intermedio, yeah. So I hope you enjoy the video, and thanks again.
Reading.